Some places on Earth are really scaring, while others have beliefs that are related to hell. Here are 10 real places that look like hell, and people have thought that these places lead straight to the lands of the dead. But before we jump into number 1, be sure that you have subscribed and hit the bell icon to keep yourself informed with amazing videos. With that said, let's jump into our incredible list. Turkmenistan. The Darvaza crater in Turkmenistan, more commonly known as the Door to Hell, is a curious mix of the natural-made and the man-made disaster. It opened up in 1971 when Soviet geologists, prospecting for natural gas, unwittingly caused the ground to collapse and a natural gas crater to be opened up. They set it on fire when they realized it was spewing out poisonous methane, but nothing was gained from the fire set. Since then it's been burning and never stops. It's like a real-life hell on Earth since it does not stop. North Yungas Road. The path from La Paz to Coroico in Bolivia is a treacherous one. The North Yungas Road weaves precariously through the Amazon rainforest at a height of more than 15,000 feet. When you consider that frightening elevation, don't forget to mention that the road is also narrow at 12 foot wide and a single-lane road. It lacks guardrails and limited visibility due to rain and fog in the place throughout the year. With all those, it's easy to see why this 50-mile stretch of highway has earned the nickname, the Death Road. The road sees some way from 200 to 300 annual deaths. These days, it has now become more of a destination for adventurous mountain bikers than a vehicular thoroughfare. Hill of Crosses. People have been placing crosses on this hill in northern Lithuania since the 14th century. In the beginning, throughout the medieval period, the crosses expressed a desire for Lithuanian independence. Then, after a peasant uprising in 1831, people began adding to the site in remembrance of dead rebels. The hill became a place of defiance once again during Soviet occupation from 1944 to 1991. They were bulldozed by Soviets 3 times, but locals kept rebuilding it. There are now more than 100,000 crosses crowded there, clashing together in the breeze like eerie wind chimes. Pripyat. If there was ever a poster child for eerily abandoned places around the world, then it would have to be Pripyat. Established in 1970, the city had reached a population of nearly 50,000 by the time it was entirely evacuated after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. It has remained an uninhabited city since the evacuation, although the buildings, furniture, and all other signs of life are exactly where its former citizens left them. Weathered books can be found in classrooms. Decaying dolls lie abandoned in cribs. And photographs are still in their original frames. The most famous landmark is the Pripyat amusement park's Ferris wheel, a skeletal reminder of what used to be. Though now Pripyat is a good place for tourists to visit, back in the days it used to be a line of death due to the radiations that littered the place. Hanging coffins. If you want to visit the dead in Sagada, a town in Philippines, you will have to look up instead of looking down. The people of this region are known for burying their dead in coffins attached to the sides of cliffs. The tradition goes back thousands of years, where the people living in the area believed in a saying that goes, "Carve out your own coffin, die, and get hoisted up next to your ancestors." Many of the cliffside coffins are hundreds of years old and all look completely different, as they were specially made by the person who now rests inside of them. If you are not used to such things, then you should not visit Sagada because it will be like real hell to you. Capuchin catacombs. Of all the catacombs in the world, from Salzburg to Paris, none are quite as creepy as Sicily's Catacombe dei Capucini in Palermo, Italy. The macabre space was created back in the late 16th century, when the cemetery at the Capuchin monastery became overrun. Religious men were originally intended to be the exclusive residents, but once the world got out to know about the natural mummification processes occurring in the space, it soon became a status symbol for local citizens to earn a final resting spot there, in their best clothing. As a result, the underground tombs now contain around 8,000 bodies divided into separate corridors, including one for religious figures, one for professional men, one for children, and even one for virgins. The corpses are displayed like a museum exhibit, dressed to the nines and arranged in grotesquely lifelike posts. How does that sound to? This may be one of the scariest places you will ever hear about. Snake Island. Located about 90 miles off the coast of Sao Paulo in Brazil, Ilha de Queimada Grande is one of the most dangerous islands in the entire world. The site earned its moniker due to its insanely high-density snakes. Some studies report an average of 1 to 5 snakes per square meter. This high density of snakes started back in the days when sea levels rose some 11,000 years ago and separated Snake Island from mainland Brazil. The newly isolated snakes became hyper-evolved and hyper-terrifying to adapt to their changing environment. Without any ground-level prey on the island, the snakes learned to hunt in the treetops and strike at birds from the air. And because they couldn't track down the birds and wait for the poison to kick in, their venom adapted to become 5 times stronger than that of their mainland counterparts, even capable of killing their prey instantly, as well as melting human flesh. Because of their potency, the Brazilian government bans the public from ever setting foot on the island. When you attempt going there, then be ready to face real hell on earth. Mount Hekla. Mount Hekla is an active volcano in Iceland. It had a long history of association with hell. Today, some people still believe that witches congregate on the volcano to meet up with Satan. The volcano is 4,892 feet tall and is one of the most active volcanoes in Iceland. Since the year 874, there have been an impressive 20 eruptions. With beliefs in existence, they might be right or wrong. But all in all, we also don't know the truth about it. The Blue Hole. The Blue Hole has a straightforward name that belies its sinister side. This 394-foot deep underwater sinkhole in the Red Sea off the coast of Egypt is an infamous dive site. Nicknamed Divers' Cemetery, the sinkhole has trapped many experienced divers in a dark 85-foot-long passage known as the Arch. More than 100 divers are estimated to have died there in just the past 2 decades. The Paris Catacombs. The City of Lights is one of the most romantic places in the world, and yet it has a dark side. Paris sits above over 200 miles of tunnels, some of which are lined from floor to ceiling with skulls and bones. Paris cemeteries were overcrowded by the 17th century, and the solution was to bury more than 6 million bodies in these ancient tunnels, initially built for mining. Today, visitors are only able to tour about a mile of these catacombs. The Chapel of Bones. When this chapel was being built in the 16th century within the Royal Church of St. Francis, cemeteries were overtaking the town of Évora, Portugal. The Franciscan monks in charge of the construction came up with the creative solution to use bones and skulls from more than 5,000 bodies as decoration for the walls, columns, arches and ceiling. What was meant to be a decoration turned out to be something like hell to some people. Before you step your first foot in the church, you have to first read the inscription above the chapel door that reads, Nos arsos que aqui estamos, pelos vossos esperamos, meaning, we bones are here, waiting for yours too. General Cemetery. One of the largest cemeteries in Central America, General Cemetery in Guatemala City, is a tragic case of supply and demand. Guatemala City has one of the highest murder rates in the world, and the cemetery can see more than 12 funerals a day. Because of this, the expensive, vertically stacked tombs are rented out in 4-year increments. If a crypt isn't renewed or has not been paid, the body is removed and tossed in a mass grave. Sedlec Ossuary. Churches and temples are home to some of the most stunning art in the world, though Sedlec Ossuary in Kutna Hora, Czech Republic, is adorned with more than 40,000 human skeletons, rather than stained glass windows and frescoes. Known simply as the Bone Church, this small chapel even has bone candelabras, skull candle holders, and a central chandelier made of bones. As always, thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe. And to watch more videos by tapping the videos above.